So now that we're thinking about new divisions and new rivalries, you think about two of the best players in the game right now going head-to-head a lot more often than they would in a normal season.
8 or 9 times.
Talking about Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, and it turns out that they're already very familiar with each other because they've been spending the last several weeks training together down in Arizona. How cool is this?
At the old ice, my old spot where I used to practice when I played for the Coyotes, my old teammate Shane Doan's been running practices, and Connor McDavid spent a couple weeks down in Arizona with Austin Matthews. That's training awesome. And skating, and they're just two of a collection of great centerman talent on these Canadian rosters. And this is not going to be an easy division.
No.
As you mentioned, 6 of the 7 teams advanced last year, and they are loaded down the middle. So we thought it'd be fun with those two guys going head-to-head, what it might be like to try to rank top 5 centers in all of Canada for next year. So
let's do it.
Jamie, I'm going to ask you, who's number 1?
I mean, I have to go Connor McDavid. Right. I think he's still the number 1 player in hockey.
I think everyone goes Connor McDavid. You're exactly right. And I think what we saw is a little clip there. I mean, just the extraordinarily ability of his offensive skills. It's just overwhelming. And he's so good offensively that even maybe some of his shortcomings defensively don't matter when you're this great offensively. We know the speed at which he can skate, his hands, his vision. He quarterbacked one of the best power plays in the history of the NHL along with Leon Draisaitl. He may be on this list as well. And I think it's just the strength of that offensive game really does make up for maybe some deficiencies, maybe the faceoff circle, maybe defensively, but just offensively, he just overwhelms you. There is nobody else in the NHL who can play like him, who can do to other NHL players what he does to NHLers on a nightly basis. He skates past guys the way we would skate past kids when we were 7. Like, I can skate better than you. I'm just going to go around you. He does that all the time, and it really is amazing. And to think he's not doing this, putting up these kind of numbers, these kind of points, playing with all-world players on his wings. Right. He is, Zach Kassian's been there, and Chiasson's been there, and James Neal, NHLers and fine ones at that, but they're not all world caliber players, and he still is putting up historical points per game. So Connor McDavid, I think, would be almost a consensus number 1 for best centerman in the league, and certainly the best centerman in Canada.
So if he's number 1, is Austin Matthews number 2 among centermen in Canada?
Well, this is where it gets interesting because, Leon Draisaitl, he didn't win every trophy in the books, but number 2 for me is, in fact, Austin Matthews.
Okay.
And the mustache alone on November just finishing is warranting a high spot on this list. But I think really his goal-scoring ability, especially 5-on-5, is historically good. Not good for this crop of players, not good for this generation of the game, but historically good 5-on-5 goal scorer. From the second he got in the league, 4 goals his very first game. And I think he's getting better. Wow. And that's a scary thought. I thought in the playoffs, he took his game to another level. And that was already, he was playing at a level where he was 1 goal behind the Rocket race last year.
Right.
And he played better than that in the playoffs. He was dominant. Now, he is a bigger body than Connor McDavid, plays differently, doesn't use his speed the same way. But he's a physical checker of the puck. So he won't hit you, but he'll take it off you.
Okay.
And there's a bit of a little distinction there, but it's important. He's strong on his stick, and he's strong with his lower body to take the puck and hang on to it. The shot is as good as we've ever seen on the wrist shot. But I think he's just so gifted at scoring goals in any situation, and he's getting better. He got the number 2 spot for me.
Okay, so we have a reigning Hart Trophy winner that has not taken the number 1 spot, has not taken the number 2 spot. Does he finally take the number 3 spot?
Well, of course he doesn't. No, he does not. I gave the number 3 spot, and this is how highly I think of this cat. Elias Pettersson is my number 3 centerman. Jamie, he is just incredible with the puck and a more well-rounded player than Leon Draisaitl. So now, offensively, no question his numbers weren't quite there, but he's more than a point-a-game player. He's good on the power play. He can score from distance. He can set up his line mates and get them to be very good. He was good in the playoffs. But really what separates him is that, his underlying numbers, especially 5-on-5, are through the roof good. Wow. His expected goals for per minute played. His expected goals against per minute played. Way lower and way higher than Draisaitl and McDavid and Matthews. I mean, he's that good. Now, he can't shoot it quite as well as those guys. There's different things he doesn't do quite as well. But he plays defense. And again, he might not have the supporting cast around him that some of the other players do that can allow him to maybe pile up those kind of points on the power play specifically, where I think Leon Draisaitl had about 20 more power play points than him last year. So I'm giving full credit to Elias Pettersson for how good he is, no matter how young he is, both sides of the puck, that he gets the spot ahead of the reigning Hart, Art Ross.
Right. Ted Lindsay.
Every trophy there is ahead of him. Pettersson is my number 3.
Okay, so the guy that just won all the hardware, does he at least get number 4?
Okay, Edmonton fans, breathe easy. Number 4 is Leon Draisaitl, and I think for good reasons, as you just mentioned. He won everything last year. He was incredible, and he has firmly removed himself from any shadow of Connor McDavid. This idea that he's good because he gets to play with McDavid. Well, he doesn't play with McDavid. He plays with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Kyler Yamamoto for when they were more productive than McDavid for the second half of last year. Amazing on the power play. Him and McDavid make that thing go, and I think, I like to pay a lot of attention to 5-on-5 numbers, but there's a power play part of the game too. And those goals count too.
Right.
And we should not discount his contribution to that historically great power play. I think he had a really poor month of December, especially defensively. Now, the entire team did, as did their goalie, so it exacerbated maybe his off play. But he got better as the season went along. The only thing he has luxury of is, even when you go up against Leon Draisaitl, he's a reigning Art Ross winner. Connor McDavid's still the guy. He's still the matchup guy. So he does get the benefit of occasional second pair matchups because he gets to play with Connor McDavid. But he is number 4. It's a great list, and it's tough to be 4th when you were just best in the league, but that's where he is for my list.
Mike Johnson, tough nut to crack over here.
Know,
So
Leon, I'm sorry, buddy.
Who rounds out your top 5?
This is interesting because it's Mark Scheifele, it's John Tavares, and I went with the veteran in John Tavares.
Okay.
We can't sleep on how good this guy was.
Yeah.
He went through last year injury-plagued from the start of the season. He battled all kinds of ailments the entire year and still put up a point a game. The year prior, his first year with the Leafs, he almost scored 50. And he's the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs and all that entails.
Right.
He is a very good leader on and off the ice, embraces defensive responsibilities, because when you play with Austin Matthews on your team, Austin is the best offensive player. So you're going to get some more defensive responsibilities, and he takes that on, and he's good at it. And I think that, for me, was maybe the differentiation between him and Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele offensively maybe a hair better at this point in his career, maybe.
Okay.
But I think defensively, John Tavares has a little bit of an edge there. So I gave the veteran, got to have some age on this group with all these young stars, the number 5 spot.
So can we give an honorable mention to Scheifele, maybe? Can we add him as like maybe a 6th on your top 5?
Listen, and I think as we did this exercise, I'm like, okay, well, there's 6 guys who've separated themselves. All respect to Bo Horvat or Sean Monahan or whatever. I mean, there's 6 guys for 5 spots. And Mark Scheifele is a clear number 6, but part of this group. And he is a hockey student. I say hockey nerd. Like, he loves watching, loves learning. He pays attention. He tries to be as good as he can be in both ends of the ice. I really love what he does in the power play, playing in the middle, which is not always the case for these centermen. Usually they work the half wall and have the puck an awful lot, but he plays in the middle, and the puck runs through Blake Wheeler's stick, but he still has got a really good way of being productive there. And he's been a good player and put up 30-plus goals and 80-plus points year after year after year. So he is my consensus number 6, solidly number 6 in our list.
Okay. Well, and he's going to be healthy.
Top 5 list.
He's going to be healthy this year, too. He says he's 100%, which
great
is
news
huge
after
for
that
Winnipeg.
Scary cut.
Man, good luck to all 7 Canadian teams out there, if indeed this division is a thing, because, wow, yeah, that's going to be a tough nightly battle for all those teams.